Sometimes Euro Truck Simulator 2 can feel a bit strange, not bad and not boring, but quiet in a way where the roads feel wide, the drives feel long. And yet something feels missing even though everything technically works exactly as it should. The trucks look good. The map is massive. The DLCs are solid. But after a while you start realizing that without mods, ETS2 is only showing you part of what it can really be, not the full trucking simulation experience it's capable of delivering. And if you're someone who doesn't just want to finish jobs, but actually wants to feel like you're driving a real truck across Europe, planning your speed, reacting to traffic, respecting weather, and settling into long, quiet hauls, then mods are not optional anymore. So in this video, I'm sharing 12 realistic Steam Workshop mods you really should try in ETS2 in 2026, because these are the mods that don't just add features. They change how the game feels every time you start to drive. All of them are available on the Steam Workshop, they're easy to install, and all the links are in the description. You spend almost your entire time driving the truck, which means if the truck doesn't feel right, nothing else really matters, no matter how good the visuals or the map are. With the default physics, ETS2 trucks can feel light and forgiving, especially when you're fully loaded and taking corners faster than you realistically should, and the game rarely punishes you for driving carelessly. This mod changes that immediately. The truck suddenly has weight, the trailer pushes you forward when braking, sharp steering inputs actually matter, and tight corners force you to slow down whether you want to or not. You start planning your braking earlier, respecting speed limits more naturally, and treating heavy cargo like it actually weighs something. And once that happens, ETS2 starts feeling like a simulation instead of just a driving game. If realism matters to you even a little, you will love this mod. Weather 4K is one of those mods that doesn't try to impress you instantly, but instead quietly improves the game until you suddenly realize that everything just looks better than before. The skyboxes are higher quality, the lighting feels more balanced, and the overall atmosphere feels more natural during everyday driving, especially during early mornings and late afternoons. Sunrises feel soft instead of dramatic, sunsets glow without looking fake, and clear days actually feel clear rather than flat. This is the kind of mod you install once and forget about, because it subtly improves every single drive without demanding attention. Three, brutal weather and graphics. If Weather 4K feels a little too calm for your taste, then brutal weather and graphics is where things get more intense. This mod turns weather into something you actively feel while driving, with heavier rain, darker storms, thicker fog, and much more dramatic lighting changes throughout the day. Morning drives can feel cold and heavy. Storms reduce visibility enough to make you slow down naturally, and bad weather stops being background decoration and starts becoming part of the driving challenge. If you enjoy immersive, moody driving sessions where the environment actually affects how you drive, you should absolutely try this. This is one of those mods that shows how powerful small details can be, because it doesn't change gameplay mechanics at all, yet it completely changes how the world feels. By replacing generic companies and fuel stations with real-world brands, deliveries start feeling believable, industrial zones feel authentic, and fuel stops feel familiar instead of fictional. You don't actively think about the mod while playing, but your brain stops reminding you that you're in a game, and that's when immersion really starts working. You spend hours inside the cabin staring at the dashboard, the GPS, and the screens, so if the interior feels outdated or game-like, immersion breaks quickly. The new CarPlay mod modernizes your truck interior by adding a CarPlay-style infotainment system that feels clean, realistic, and genuinely useful during long drives. Navigation is easier to read at a glance. Radio and media-style apps make the dashboard feel alive, truck information panels feel logical, and the extra digital displays make the cabin feel like something you'd actually drive in 2026. During night driving especially, the screen lighting blends perfectly with the interior instead of standing out awkwardly, which makes long hauls feel relaxed and natural. If interior realism matters to you, you really need this mod. Sound is one of the most overlooked parts of immersion, yet it's one of the fastest ways to tell whether a game world feels alive or empty. The Sound Fixes pack adds layers of audio detail that ETS2 desperately needs, including city ambience train crossings, environmental sounds, wind noise through open windows, fuel station sounds, and dozens of subtle effects you don't notice individually, but definitely feel together. Once you play with this mod, ETS2 without, it feels quiet, hollow, and unfinished. This is not optional. If you're enjoying this list and you care about realistic ETS2 gameplay, you should consider subscribing because more mods, updates, and immersive trucking content are always coming. Real traffic isn't random, and this mod understands that better than the base game ever could. Traffic density changes depending on the time of day, which means mornings feel busy, city centers feel crowded during peak hours, afternoons calm down, and late nights finally feel quiet. It makes planning routes and driving times feel meaningful, and cities stop feeling artificially populated. You don't just drive through traffic anymore, you experience it. The default ETS2 GPS works fine, but it always feels like a game interface rather than something a real driver would actually use. The Waze Navigation mod replaces it with a navigation style inspired by real-world GPS apps, making route guidance feel modern, clean, and intuitive. Junctions are easier to understand, roads are clearer at a glance, and following routes feels natural without constantly staring at the screen. Once you get used to this, going back to the default GPS feels outdated. If you enjoy driving Scania trucks, this is one of those mods you install out of curiosity and then quickly realize you're probably never going to remove again. The interiors feel detailed and lived in, the exteriors are accurate and clean, engine sounds have that deep, confident tone, and customization options are deep without drifting into unrealistic territory. What really stands out during long drives is how solid and planted these trucks feel on the road, making motorway cruising feel smooth, stable, and genuinely enjoyable for hours at a time. If you like immersive roleplay driving or simply want a truck that feels premium every time you get behind the wheel, you will absolutely love this pack. Traffic immersion doesn't stop with how many vehicles are on the road. It also depends heavily on what you actually see around you while driving. This mod replaces generic, repetitive AI traffic with realistic truck and trailer combinations, proper logistics companies, and believable fleets that make highways, industrial areas, and city roads feel genuinely alive. You start noticing variety in trailers, different company liveries, and combinations that actually make sense, instead of seeing same setups over and over again. Long motorway drives feel less monotonous, cities feel busier, and industrial zones finally feel like working transport hubs. It quietly improves immersion without demanding attention, and once you get used to it, going back to default AI traffic feels empty and repetitive. This is one of those mods that proves how much small details matter when you spend long hours behind the wheel. By upgrading road signs, warning symbols, and interface icons, everything becomes clearer, cleaner, and easier to read, especially during night driving, heavy rain, or foggy conditions. You process information faster, junctions feel less stressful, and long driving sessions feel more comfortable overall. It might seem like a small change, but over time, it makes a real difference. With these mods installed, ETS2 changes in a way that's hard to describe until you experience it yourself, because driving feels heavier, weather feels meaningful, traffic feels alive, and the cabin finally feels modern. The game stops feeling empty and starts feeling like a proper trucking simulation. All mods are available on the Steam Workshop. All links are in the description, and if you want more ETS2 realism, mods, and immersive content, subscribe, and I'll see you on the road.